Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I want to try and do my best to explain to you machine origin, job origin, and the different start from modes to the best of my ability. It's something that I see almost on a daily basis as a point of confusion among new users especially. So let's get into Lightburn and I'll do my best to explain it in a way that is hopefully understandable. First thing we need to address is the machine origin. Now, I'm currently logged into my CO2 laser, which that machine homes to the right rear, and that's indicated by this little red dot right here in the top right corner. Now, most diode lasers, home to the left front. Some CO2 lasers, like Thunder for instance, I know homes to the left rear. So, and that is set by the manufacturer of the machine. That's not something that you can change because you want it to home somewhere else. It has to be where it is. And some diode lasers don't have homing switches, so you have to manually home it, but it still has to be in the corner that the manufacturer has designated. So let's get into our device settings, which is the wrench and screwdriver icon. And it comes up and you see currently my origin, which is this box here, is set to the right rear. Now, if I was to set it to the right front, watch what happens to my box with text in it. It totally flips upside down and it moves down to the bottom because now the red box is down here and my zero number starts here and goes across and starts here and goes up, where before it still started up here and went across, but it started in the back and came forward. So wherever the origin point is, that's where your 0, 0 is. Now let's move it to a different one. Let's move it to the left front, which is where most diode lasers are. And you see now it's 0 to 700 across this way and 0 to 5 in that way. Not only is the text flipped upside down, but it's also mirrored backwards. So if you are working on your machine and you realize that everything you're printing out is the text coming backwards or the graphic are showing backwards or mirrored, it's probably an origin issue, a machine origin issue. We'll go up to the top corner here and see now we're right side up, but we're mirrored backwards. I'll put it back where it belongs. Yeah. So now it's back in the correct orientation, and that aligns with what my machine is. Now, if I was to open up this same graphic in my diode laser, it would be the graphic would be upside down and backwards because it homes down here to this corner. So just know that that setting has to be where your machine is designated to be. You can't change it because you want to. It has to be there. That's just how it is. Now, moving on to next, we have the job origin. And that's these 9 squares down here. If you look currently, there's a green square right in the center. I have this one here selected. If I select the top left, the green square jumps to the top left of my graphic. Bottom left, bottom right, right middle. You get the idea. So what this corresponds to, and if I click on the square, you see we've got the nine squares. That corresponds to one of those 9 squares. No matter where I click it, it's going to correspond to one of those 9 positions. Now, if I place the system into absolute coordinates, that green box goes to the corner where the 0, 0 is. So it's on top of the red square. So in absolute coordinates, the starting point or the job origin is always 0, 0. In the other modes, it's always wherever you tell it to be on the graphic. And let me complicate it a little bit more. I'm going to add another graphic in here and go back to user origin. So now you see I've got a graphic, but now the green dot, it's centered, but it's not centered of either position. It's centered of the 2 graphics. So if I go to here, now it comes way down here to this corner. So this entire job is part of the job origin. The only way you can get it to be in a to ignore one So yeah, click there, it goes there. Now if I click the top right, it's going to be out here in right field. It's not against either one of the graphics. It's just there. It's taking the entirety of these 3 items and placing the origin where it belongs with them. Now, if I was to choose Cut Selected Graphics, it makes no difference unless I click Use Selection Origin. Right now I have this blue oval selected. Now, when I change it, it goes relative to the selected graphic. If I uncheck that, it goes back to the entirety of the design. So let's delete that. That just I don't want to confuse you with things, but I thought it was good to mention that because that's a thing I've seen a lot is they say, hey, I'm trying to cut this, but my origin, my green box is not where it's supposed to be. Why? Well, because you have other things on the screen. In fact, watch this. I'll take that, and I'm going to just, select it. I'm just going to move it down here right off screen. Right now, it's off screen, and you're looking, it's like, why is the green box way over here when there's nothing else on the screen? Well, it's because this thing is still on your screen. Even though it's not in your work area, it's on the screen. So that's why you sometimes have issues with the origin box not being where you think it should be. Okay. Now let's move on to our different start from positions. Starting with absolute coordinates. There again, remember I said now the green dot is up in the corner, right on top of our 0, 0 point. So wherever, I'll group those together so they always move together. Wherever I place this on my bed is where it's going to frame and where it's going to burn. So it has nothing to do with what portion of that is, it has to do with where it is on the bed. So let's go and look at I'm going to actually move it back here to the back left corner. Look in the camera and watch what happens when I click the frame button. It goes way to the back, frames it there. Now I'm going to move it to this front corner and hit frame again. And now it's framing in the front corner because that's where I moved the graphic to. So in absolute coordinates, wherever you happen to have the graphic placed within this grid is where it's going to frame and where it's going to burn. So, and I think that, in my opinion, that's the easiest to use, and it's the easiest for me to understand because I have a fence along the back of my machine. So I know that if I place something up against it, and I'm going to use this top left corner for placement, and in my case, 650 and 0 is where the L on my fence is. So it's all on this 0 line back here, and it has an L that sticks out at 650 millimeters. So if I place a piece of plywood against that point in the corner, I know that whatever I have here is going to burn from that location. So now, one thing you have to be aware of is this above here, the anchor point positioning. So I did top left at 650 and 0. Now let's say make bottom right and tie 650 and 0. Watch where it goes. Well, this point is now at that, which is totally off my work area, and that's not going to work. I place it in the center. It moved it down, so the center point's at our 650 and 0. So this anchor point controls the positioning and what portion of the graphic is being measured to. So these dimensions always measure to that dot on whatever's selected. Yeah, so that's absolute coordinates. I think you understand that if you place it on the workbed, wherever it is on your screen is where it's going to be on the workbed. Now let's switch over to current position. And now we've got our green job origin dot back. We can put that wherever we want to on the job. I'm going to place it on the bottom left. And watch what happens when I frame it now. Let's go to the camera. You see the laser is down in the bottom left corner of that workpiece. I'm going to hit frame. It's going to move over to the right and up. And come back down. Now, if I take and move this over here and go back to the camera and frame it again, it's going to be in the exact same spot. Because when you're using current position, it doesn't matter where this is. In fact, it can even be off the edge of the workbed and still frame the same. So, because it's only relative to where the current position of the laser head is and where this green dot is. If I move this to the top right corner and hit it again, it's going to frame off to the left and down. So, yeah, I mean, this can be very useful in certain circumstances. You know, if you have a piece that you don't want to move it, you can jog the laser head and place it exactly where you want that point to be. You know, if you want to be dead center, which dead center is hard to locate. I mean, there's a center finder tool, but it's not necessarily easy to use. But you have to place your laser head in relative position to the graphic with where you have your job origin set at. Now, the difference between current position and user origin is that gives you a little more repeatability. Kinda, you take and set up an origin position using the origin button on your laser, on the controller of the Rita, or if you're using a diode laser, there's in the move panel here, there's a set origin button, and that's how you set the origin there. Then when you have your origin set, then it will start from that location. So let's see. I've got user origin on the bottom left. I set an origin point about in the middle of the workbed. So let's go over there and look at this and hit frame. Goes over and comes back. And there again, it doesn't matter where I place it. Where I place the graphic in Lightburn, it's still going to frame it based on where that origin point is. We've covered user origin, we've covered current position, and absolute coordinates. That's our 3 different start from modes. Like I say, I typically use the absolute coordinates start from because I have the fence and it just works so well for me to do it that way. And I also have jigs set up, so if I use a jig, I know that it's always going to be in the same position. And yeah, I don't have to worry about jogging and trying to get my origin set right exactly where it needs to be. But the one place where I do use user origin is when I'm doing tumblers, any rotary work, particularly if it has a handle that can get banged, can bang against your laser head and really mess you up. Using the user origin allows me to dial that tumbler in exactly where I want it very easily, hit my origin button, and know that it's going to start right there every time. Or current position. Some people do it that way too. I prefer having a set origin point. Gives me a little better repeatability, in my opinion. So that's the basics of your machine origin, job origin, and your different start from modes. So leave a comment if I was able to help you out and help you understand a little bit better, or like the video, subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate that. And even more so, what I'd really appreciate is if you click on the description, and there's a bunch of Amazon affiliate links down there, as well as a just general Amazon link. If you click that before you go shopping, I'll get a few pennies off your purchase, and it doesn't cost you any more to do it. And I would really appreciate it. And help my channel out a bit. Give me some money to buy some supplies. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.